Hello and welcome to the first video in a series looking at high-level rating. In these videos, I will discuss principles of boss fights, why the current meta team works, and how to manipulate the boss AI in your favor. I will be making some assumptions that viewers know key abilities of the boss and the units, so if you want a more in-depth primer on the teams, let me know in the comments below. If you think this video series is a good idea, please like, subscribe, and join us on Discord. A link is below, or you can click on the link in this slide. Of note, we still need a name for our mascot. Axemand is a nice lore-appropriate one that was brought up, but if I don't get more input, I will end up calling him Rebute. Now, the first boss I want to discuss is the great Tzeentchian demon primarch himself, Magnus the Red. Magnus is one of those bosses that is extremely frustrating to a lot of players. His moveset and RNG nature seem carefully crafted to frustrate the most even-tempered player. If he decides to teleport your Ragnar, Helbrecht, Forcas, or pretty much anyone into the jail corner, the run is ruined. There is no great recovery. I've also seen him decide to chill on high ground, clone your units 3 times in a row. It's very fun and interactable. There are some things you can do to try to reduce the feeling of RNG. This is my own hit from June 2025 on the map GB Magnus 02. Topping out at 920k damage, which has easily been beaten at this point after the mythic introduction. However, it was greatly inspired by Nandi's run that he posted on April 28, 2025 in his Forcas preview, so thank you. First, let's watch the replay. Now let's discuss why this opener. The key to enticing Magnus down off his throne is to give him a spot to land. Now, he may decide not to come down anyway, but you can't do anything about rolling a natural 1 on the dice. The key to crafting a run is to know where the adds will go. Not only will they damage your units, but more importantly, they will move block the boss. When we start turn 2, we know that the 2 Terminators will move down to attack the closest targets. The left Terminator consistently chooses to attack Helbrecht, though to be honest, it doesn't really matter who he chooses exactly. The right Terminator will use his 2 movement to move towards and attack Ragnar, leaving a large Magnus-sized hole. Then you double howl, move up to the high ground, Helbrecht active, Asmodai active, do a metric ton of damage, but what's next? Magnus often likes to fly away south after this big hit, but we can't let him. He has 5 movement, but a huge 9-hex character model he has to fit in somewhere. The key here is the Spore and Anshi. We could have used the Spore next to Forcas to increase his damage with his adjacency bonus passive, but I decided to put it too south of Anshi for a reason. The AI typically prioritizes kills or high damage, and these Spore are juicy targets. The left Terminator can't reach the Spore, and he prefers to melee. Of note, sometimes you can determine if an ad will prefer to melee versus range, depending on how much damage it does, if it's going to hit a kill threshold. However, in this case, the Terminators prefer to melee, maybe because it increases the chance of echoes from the warp, which is their passive that leaves behind their time ghosts that they can revive from. Nevertheless, he comes down to melee Anshi, who is left here turn 1 for a reason. The right Terminator moves down to shoot the Spore, and the last Marine is left to shoot Anshi. Where is Magnus to go? Oh look, another Magnus-sized hole. Now turn 3, we move people around to whack away. I moved Helbrick down to not only buff Asmodai and Anshi, but because he is low enough health that the ads will prioritize him when the Spore is dead. The Anshi clone moves first, kills the Spore, leaving the Terminator to melee Asmodai, and the second Terminator and the Rubik Marine to melee Helbrick. Oh look! Another Magnus-sized hole and another forecast whack. Turn 4, I think I could have played this more optimally. I was trying to distract the ads from hitting my units because they're finally running low. However, I accidentally threw spores into my Magnus landing zone. Now, the obstructing spore actually does die here, and Magnus still flies south. Whether or not that's because it was blocked when the turn started, or because he's just decided he's had enough, I'm not sure. Let me know if you think you know. However, if I had 3-spored the Anshi clone instead, I think it's more likely that he does not fly south but stays, so that Ragnar could get the high ground hits now that Forecast has been toasted. There really isn't much more to see after this. Keep your buffing units by the damage units and just hope people crit. So that's pretty much it. Let me know if you think this was helpful, and if there's anything else you'd like to see. Please remember to like, subscribe, and check us out on Discord. Feel free to share your Magnus woes in the comments below, and remember, every time Magnus makes you rage, his nipple horns grow a little longer.